So today is March 29th, the fifth Wednesday of March, and we are having a special mastermind meeting to be led by one of our newest members, Susan Vanderberg. Her mentor is Randy Powell, and everyone knows Randy Powell. So before we get started, because I'm not sure if Susan is here yet, is she here?
No.
Okay, I don't see her. So I'm going to ask Randy.
Werner just came on.
She did?
Werner just came on.
Oh, okay. So Randy, if you could be on standby when it's time to start the mastermind,
Sure.
that would be
Absolutely.
appreciated because we do want to start on time. The mastermind is scheduled to be 40 minutes. So it's pretty much the entire meeting. And there's Susan right now. So I'm going to introduce our Toastmaster of the day. Welcome to all of our members and guests. I would like to make a special announcement that we have two new members, Ernie Silvers and Mariatu Brown, who have just joined our club. Welcome them. And at our first meeting in April, we'll make an official induction. Okay. So looking back on when our club first started in March, we gathered so many people who wanted to join Entrepreneur Toastmasters Club. And many of you are here today. But we said we would look at brainstorming and discuss business challenges and establish accountability and support from the members of this club to all the members who are pursuing their entrepreneurship. That's exactly what we're doing today. Our Toastmaster is a certified mortgage planning specialist, a corporate trainer, and a member of the Association for Talent Development. He is also a qualified speaker in District 12's Speakers Bureau. He teaches business owners, service professionals, and entrepreneurs how to use public speaking as a marketing strategy to explode their business growth. Today, he will guide us through a new mastermind session. Please welcome Charles Z. Radney.
Good morning, everyone. As I requested earlier or mentioned earlier, for all of you who are in a room by yourself, please unmute yourself so when you get called on, you don't have that time challenge of getting your speakers, your microphone turned on.
Alda, audio now unmute.
As the member of Entrepreneurs Toastmasters, it's been a journey for all of us. I've enjoyed seeing the growth of people who were not entrepreneurs a year ago, who are entering that field, who are learning, who are taking tips from people in the club, who are listening to people like Randy Powell, who has a lot to give from the standpoint of mentorship. There are other people outside the club who can help us as well. And one of the people who I've been listening to a lot lately is a gentleman by the name of George C. Frazier. Look him up if you're not familiar with him. George C. Frazier is the head of a company called FrazierNet. He's really, really, really into networking. And for those of you who want to be entrepreneurs or who want to grow your business, networking is a key to reaching out and having the connections you need at all levels to help you grow. Randy, from your standpoint, how important have you seen networking to be to help push your business and help you get the exposure to people like Ken Wall and other people?
You know, I don't even refer to it as networking, but I understand totally what you're talking about, Charles. I think that when you think of networking, I would rather people think about relationship marketing, relationship building, anything that sparks the thought about relationships, because that's really what networking is supposed to be about. There was a time when you would network and shake hands and change business cards, exchange business cards, and hope someone would call you and say, hey, I need your services. It doesn't work that way that well anymore. So when I think of that, I think of actually creating a relationship, a dialogue, and getting to know who it is in the room rather than what they can do for you. Always think about what you might be able to do for someone else, but you got to figure out who they are, what they need, and how you can help. So I think from the standpoint of of relationships rather than what you asked me, but it all goes along the same way.
Okay. Listen to what Randy said. For those of you who are trying to really grow your businesses and get exposed to other people. As was said earlier, the thrust of our meeting today will be handled by Susan, and it will be a mastermind because we want to get into helping people understand what their challenges are, where their strengths are, and what resources they have either within the club or outside the club. One of the things that, and during the course of the meeting, I will use 3 different quotes from George Fraser, but from a growth standpoint, George says, beware of people who have a TV screen larger than their library. Think about that. It's all about you investing in yourself and self-improving yourself. With that said, who is the timer today? Is that you, Mona?
Roz was speaking, but she's muted.
Yes, Rosabelle was going to be timer, but Randy is going to monitor the time.
Okay, then I don't need to explain timing to Randy. With that said, we'll have our first speaker, and I don't have the agenda right in front of me. Who is the first speaker on it?
The only speaker is Susan Vanderberg, conducting the mastermind for 40 minutes.
Oh, so she's the only, I thought we had 2 speakers.
No.
Okay, then with that said, why don't we get into Susan? I've had the pleasure of knowing Susan during the time she's been with the club. Have not had the opportunity because I've not presented myself to her to be interviewed by her, but in watching her interviews, watching what she's done with Randy, watching how she did her icebreaker, I'm looking forward to her as the head of the mastermind. With that said, Susan, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your mastermind leader today. It's quite an honor because all of you are very accomplished people. So hopefully I do not disappoint. So the point of this mastermind is to really clarify what we need in our business lives. Basically exploring what are the roadblocks. And if you already have a roadmap, let's clarify that map and identify the roadblock. And quite often I found that permission is what's missing, is the missing piece of our roadmap to success. And I would like to share my screen. Will the host please allow me to share my screen?
Yes, it's ready.
Thank you, Bond. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. So this morning, our goals are to identify the current situation and create your action plan if you don't already have one. And then the third goal is to identify what it is, and likely it's permission that you're missing. So the first step is you have a piece of paper. We would like for you to take out a piece of paper and create a table. Like that. So 5 columns. Let me know when you're ready.
You should be okay to go, Susan.
Thank you. All right, so let's go around the room, and I'm looking at whoever's on my screen from top to bottom. So where are you now? Charles? With your business, where are you now?
Right now, with my business of helping people to learn how to speak publicly, I would say that I am headed in the right direction. There's some things that need to be added to it based on being exposed to more people.
Okay. Mona Lisa? Where are you now with your business?
Currently, I'm in developing relationship and being more exposed outside of my immediate circle. So exposure and building relationship.
Okay. Tommy?
Currently, I am at the advertising stage of my business. I have a certain number of customers that purchase from my store, and I have a certain number of visitors that visit the store. I want to increase, I'm at the stage of increasing the conversion rate of visitors to customers and working on different social media platforms to be able to do that.
Okay, cool. So while I'm going through around the room, please make sure to start writing, where do you want to be? But on the next column. Next, Bond. Where are you now in your business?
Yes. Good morning, Susan.
Good morning.
Where I am right now, as far as the business is concerned, is the lending business for some Chinese organization to look into the American market. Stage where the stage is collect information, come up with some ideas, very initial stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good morning.
Where am I at?
Yes,
I'll tell
where are
you,
you?
I'm where I am is highly focused, and
Okay, good.
so currently where I am is I'm getting ready to launch a mastermind. As Charles was saying, getting in the room with the right people, getting exposure and so forth. I've spent 8 years of really spending time and studying people who are much more successful, and they're well connected, and they're great down-to-earth people, and there are people that have a long arm reach into different industries, and they are knocking it out of the park, and they've allowed me to get in the room, and as long as my mission stays to serve other people and bring them along as well. And so that's where I'm at, getting ready to continue the live events, Envision Success live events. The brand has been launched, Envision Success is the brand. And so that's getting out to the world. And one of the things that Ken Walls, who was a guest at our last masterclass session just recently, and he has one of the largest podcasts in the globe, on the globe. One of the things he challenged us with was going ahead and going live on Facebook, going live. And so I've challenged myself to start going live and sharing the message and things that I'm doing. So that's where I'm at today, and where I'm headed is just to keep growing and keep expanding and keep serving.
Okay, perfect. Suzanne Alley?
Yes, good morning, Susan.
morning.
So happy to be here. It's been a while.
Thank you.
I'm starting from the ground up. I'm on the ground. I'm working with Randy Powell, which is awesome. Just attended his master class. But I think I'm at the beginning of exposing myself, getting myself out there, building relationships, which I am very good at as a social worker. I'm good at connecting with others, and I'm not afraid to speak up and say who I am. I'm a speaker, and I want to get to know you. So that's who I am, and that's where I'm starting at. And I look forward to just growing with all of you. Thank you, Susan.
That's awesome. Deborah Gillis.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thanks.
I do not have a current plan as of yet. I am assisting my daughter with her entrepreneurship. So I'm a background person at the moment, building my relationship with her connections as well, and assisting with paperwork, assisting with building the relationships. That's one of the main things I am doing right now.
Awesome. Roz?
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
I started a podcast in January with my daughter, and now we are growing it.
Nice.
She's introduced a website and a Facebook page. So we're exploring the social media aspect of expanding listeners and learners with the message that we're presenting in our podcast called I Found Her.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you. Ray?
Good morning, Susan, and good morning, everyone. I'm relatively new. I'm starting out, but I am working on a couple of play scripts, and in so doing, it's going to be the small time level at this point. But I've got a couple of previous actors in mind that also work in the high desert, so I keep them in mind as I am doing my writing. Number one, and number two, relative to Toastmasters, there's a pathway program, as we all know or should be aware of. And one of the projects that I'm currently working on is developing a blog site. That's new for me. So blogging and the importance of writing, speaking up, and I'm having fun just blogging about that. So with that in mind, I'm going to continue to march. Back to you, Susan.
Awesome. Mariatu Brown?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Where I'm at right now. So I currently, I just published my memoir. I self-published it. So my goal is getting it in front of mass audience. That's the reason why I reconnected back with Toastmasters, so that I can get better public speaking, so I can start sending the message out there with my book, the reason why I wrote the book. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm creating a website that is mariatubrown.com, separate from my business. So so that I can start writing a blog and promoting the book. So that's where I'm at currently.
Thank you. Diana Lavery?
Thank you so much. So I am a boring employee. I'm not sure that I am at the same level as all of you, but I'm thinking about this in terms of a project at work that I'm involved with. And we are at the kind of get the prototype ready to show to stakeholders and then get feedback on that. And so we know that there's going to be a lot of requests for enhancements, some of which we might be able to do and some I don't know yet, but we're really just working to get that initial prototype out at the moment.
Neat, thank you. Suzanne Leonard?
Thank you, Susan. I'm at the juncture of I don't know, but God does kind of thing. I am looking to enhance my speaking skills. I have a children's book that has been on the back burner way too long. And so I'm just kind of trying to prioritize and decide which is the best area for me to serve for children and education. It's taking that vent. So that's my history. I'm an educator. And so I'm kind of on the fence and getting splinters in my you-know-what. So I have to make some decisions and move forward. But it's an exciting time in my life. And I'm so pleased to be a member of this club. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. That's awesome. Werner?
Yes, thank you, Susan.
Good morning.
Currently, I am learning and practicing public relations through Toastmasters. This is my school. I would rather pay $100 a year than, what is it now? $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year at college. It's a bargain for me. And it's a lot of good practice. I formed the PR committee at the district level with Frankie Jones, and I'm working it that way. It's giving me a lot of good outreach and engagement practice that I really do need and will be applying more specifically to my activities come end of June, where then in July, I need to really get moving with the meetups that I have, which deals with life management coaching, healthy living practices.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back to you, Susan.
Thank you. Esther Fala?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, let me start by saying, today I logged in because I had referred a past Toastmaster who's a young entrepreneur, and she was looking for a club to rejoin. And I thought, okay, I'll come and support her. I don't see her, but she's probably stuck somewhere. For my own personal business, this is what I've heard a business stage is being described as. You have the infancy, the growth, and the maturity stage. For my business, many of you that I have been in your circles, my business is in the maturity stage, which I have been, over 15 years, and I'm enjoying it and growing, but you never stop learning. Hence, I logged in also today. Masterminds have been a way for me to grow my business. And surely I can learn something from all of you, and perhaps maybe learn a thing or two from me as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. April Gillis?
Good morning, Suzanne and fellow Toastmasters.
Good morning.
As Esther just described, I would say my business has grown from the infancy stage into the adolescent stage. I am at the place where I'm solidifying the foundation and the messaging before expanding. I have over 17 years of work experience, over 10 years of work experience working in small businesses. So now we are taking that experience, clarifying our message so that we can really speak to our audience. And our main focus right now is to expand, and so our audience can hear us. And our goal is to help businesses get clarity on their next best action step so they can get results faster and bring their vision to life. So
that's pretty awesome.
I thank the last mastermind I attended with Randy Powell for helping us to really get solid in that vision and where we're getting ready to go next.
Oh, thank you, April. Lizelle, you're Otis? Is that Greek?
Yeah, I'm not a native, so I speak English as my main language. Okay. Where am I? I'm at the idea stage. So I've attended a couple of entrepreneurship trainings up until now, and I have it on file. And I have a whole bunch of ideas that I keep bringing towards, and I'm just making notes at the moment as things are coming to me. I've heard a couple of ideas that people have mentioned that has also interested me, and I'm also wanting to look into PR being one of them. But I'm just jotting down the ideas as they come along, not to lose them, and keeping them on file. And then the next step is to get it a bit more in a structured format. So that's where I am.
Thank you. And I believe the last person on this panel is Nora Jackson. If I've missed anyone, please raise your hand. Nora?
Hello. Did you call me Nora?
Yes.
Okay. Thank
Good morning.
Had to unmute here. Where I am in my business, I'm not sure. I'm still trying to decide. I'm trying to narrow it down. What do I want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do I like doing? What can I see, in serving other people? What are their needs? So I'm still searching.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, for the next segment, we would like to go back and look at where you want to be. Right? What is your future looking like? And I would love for whoever wants to share to raise their hands. I'll turn on some music for inspiration until we get a volunteer.
Can you repeat your question, please?
Oh yes, future. Where do you want to be? So that's the next column we're working on. Mariatu?
So in the future, where I want to be, as far as my business goes, I have expanded to Las Vegas. So I have 2 locations. I currently have one in Rancho Cucamonga and another one in Nevada. I would love to have 2 more locations in different states.
Okay.
So that's my goal
Cool.
for my organic salon. As far as my book goes, is to just motivate the masses. So that's my goal. And hopefully write more books, not just stay at one book.
Wow. Charles, where would you like to be?
The future of my business is expanding across the country. I currently live in Fontana, California. My wife is a teacher. Once she retires, we will be moving out of California, which means I need to be at a point where my business can be done across the country. And that's why I'm working with some of the networking groups I'm working with, because they are across the country and a couple are actually worldwide.
Okay. Anyone else want to share?
I do.
Yay.
Yay.
Hi,
I want to
Suzanne.
keynote as a speaker nationally, of course. I want to start there here in the United States. However, I have been networking, I guess that's not the word, but I've been reaching out through the Braillis Foundation, which is based in the UK. And that has really opened up a lot of doors. Of course, it's 8 hours ahead there, but anyway, I want to be a speaker there too. And I've had some opportunities where I'm able to share a little bit about my story and who I am and my brailing of where I've been. I was later in life. A lot of folks started in kindergarten, but it was my late 20s. But I just want to become nationally first here in California and nationally, and then internationally. And I want that unemployment rate among the blind and visually impaired to go down significantly. It's about 75–80% unemployment rate. And that's not right. And there's a lot of us who are very educated, but we need to get ourselves out there and do what I'm doing, connecting with all of you, masterminds. So that's what I plan to do. I want to be known internationally. I want people to get sick and tired of seeing me. So anyway, that's my goal for my future. So thank you very much for allowing me to share, Susan.
Of course. April Gillis. April. Well, you raised your hand, April. Did you change your mind? Anyone else want to share? Esther Fala?
Well, let's see. For me, I didn't mention my business. I'm a CPA. So my business, where I want it to be at the passive stage now, where I work less but money keeps coming when I'm not working, and to be less involved in it. Unfortunately, the industry requires certain licensing. Therefore, not everyone can hold the role of the owner, but that's where I want it to be. I'm moving it more towards that passive stage, and I can work less and then give others an opportunity to grow into that role.
All right, last one, Mona Lisa.
Thank you. I want to get to a point where I can totally integrate my passions and my love, my passion to volunteer, my love for writing and sharing through podcasts and my stories, and just not be disjointed. I'm over here volunteering, I'm over here writing books, I'm giving speeches here. I want to be able to fully integrate them all because they all reflect who I am. And the glue that holds them together is the faith that I have that I also want to share with others. So just getting that consolidated and concise.
Yes, thank you. So for anyone who would like to share, if you're having any kind of, what you want to share, when do you want to reach that goal?
I am beginning now. So it's
Okay, awesome. But when would you like to reach that goal? By next year? 6 months?
within the year, I would like to see that total integration.
Okay. Nice. Anyone else want to share?
Well, I will want my website, mariatudebrown.com, to be completed at least within the next 6 months, so I can start doing my blogs.
Cool. Werner?
In June, as I mentioned, I was wanting to get more out there with the meetups that I have, but then toward 24, 25 is when I'm wanting to so-called break ground. I've had a sober living home before, which I intend to open back up again. And that's going to be the basis of the Wellness Eco Village. Wellness Village is usually a commercial entity where you have clinics and a health food store and maybe a gymnasium or something like that. And an eco village is a residential, intentional community that lives together, works together. They do that because they want to, not because they have to. And in this particular case, there are various stages. The stage that I emphasize myself is the emotional sobriety, which is called stage 2. That's beyond the point of staying off the sauce, as people refer to it, alcohol, drugs, that kind of a thing. But emotional sobriety is where people learn self-esteem. They learn to be codependent so much anymore. They learn to work with their inner child. They do grief work, that type of thing. I have people I can refer to initially, but I would like to then bring it on ground here in the Harupa Valley area. I already have my eye on certain areas, but I would like it to grow to be about 100 people in the village working with other people.
Okay, awesome.
That's starting 2024-ish, because the real estate ought to be improved for a commercial type of land.
Okay. Well, I know that, well, some of you have roadblocks. Would you mind sharing? Maybe 2 people can share?
Susan, when you ask the group to address their roadblocks, and when you ask the people about the win factor and the goals, one of the things that everybody needs to acknowledge when it comes to setting goals is that goals need to be defined. They need to have the steps. They need to have what you need to, what your roadblocks are. Because I hear people in the group kind of tossing out the term goals, and maybe they don't have that clarity as to how to actually define a goal. And without that, they're not going to know what their particular roadblocks may or may not be. Roadblocks can be family issues. Roadblocks can be educational issues.
Right.
With that said, throw the question back out and see if you get more responses.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, Charles. Today's exercise was basically just to touch upon very generally, you know, we're acknowledging that we do have some roadblocks, and we want to tell ourselves when we want to achieve that, because this is just the beginning. You know, it will take multiple sessions before you actually achieve those goals. Mona Lisa, I see that you have your hand up, and I know we're running out of time.
One of the roadblocks that I recognized early on and trying to do this integration is commitments that I've already made that are not in line with where I'm trying to go now. They were good at the time I made the commitment. So completing those commitments or asking to be let out of a commitment is one of the roadblocks for me, because as you change, some of those commitments may have been a year long or even longer. So that for me is a roadblock, not to stop me, but it extends the time where I can actually have that completion of integration done.
Yes. And, you know, just by speaking with clients, oftentimes they do know what they want, but it's usually themselves getting in their way. I don't mean it in a bad way. It's often because when one sees it as a roadblock, it's not really a roadblock. So, for example, someone might say, oh, I have, you know, I don't have enough money, right? That could be a roadblock. But if you put your mindset in, I don't have it, instead of saying, how will I get it? You see how there's a shift in the change. And sometimes people just feel like they're not worthy of getting the help. And I often say, well, I think you just need permission, you know, whatever it is. Huh? Go ahead, Randy.
So speaking of permission, I know we're getting close on the timing here. Yes. I want to share a few things that I heard as an outsider back in the room here. First of all, every single one of you need to become a speaker. You need to be better at communicating your thoughts, your ideas, and you need to be focused on exactly what it is you want. Well, where does that come from? That comes in understanding. That comes in understanding your purpose. First of all, your purpose leads to your passion and your why, and that creates the energy to get you up and get you moving every single day towards that goal. One of the things that I heard was if, want to, wanting to, maybe. Those words should not be in your vocabulary. You should be speaking from the perspective of, I'm going to get this done, or I'm going to create this by this date specifically. I think Esther put out SMART goals. Remember the SMART goals, how to go about doing that. And remember, I call them drop dead dates. If you don't have a drop dead date on every single major task you have, you're just going to let it float and other things are going to get in the way. So stop waiting for things to be perfect. Things are never going to be perfect. You have to ramp it up, and to ramp it up takes energy. It takes focus, extreme focus, laser focus. And when it comes to, I don't have the money, I don't have this, I don't have that, just like Susan said, you have got to change the language inside that you're hearing inside your head. You have to overcome that before you can really take off like a rocket ship. So I'm going to save that for another time, but you got to speak to yourself differently so that you can speak to the world properly. Back to you, Susan.
Well, thank you, Randy. For those of you who need a reminder of what SMART stands for, the S is for specific. So you have well-defined, clear, and unambiguous goals. M is for measurable, which gives you a specific criteria and time frame and whatever you need to do to reach that goal. Achievable is A is for achievable, meaning it's not going to be impossible to achieve. And then R is being realistic. It's something that's within reach, something that's relevant to your life purpose. Just like what Randy mentioned, you know, you have a passion for it, that's like being realistic. Can you really do it? It's being realistic. T is for the timely, and you need to have a clear timeline. I mean, this timeline can restart just depending on where you are with your goals. You could be resetting from, you know, you could be reaching R and then thinking, oh, shoot, I need to restart this. So now you go back to S. So this is how you prepare your goals, and whatever roadblocks that do come up, as long as you stick to this plan, you should be okay. But you know, what I found missing was really permission, is giving yourself permission to succeed. There's a lot of fear of succeed. There's also fear of failure. I mean, I'll give you an example. Fear of success is that when you're surrounded by people who are not looking at like building a huge business empire, and you want to, but you're not in the right circle of people, or you don't have resources or networking resources, then you're sort of being held back. It's sort of like that story that I heard about the lobsters being, or was it the crabs that were in a bucket and they were flying each other to pull back the crab that was trying to get out of the bucket. So when that could be a roadblock, you know, that's like somebody holding you back because they're afraid that you're leaving, like leaving the community, leaving the clan. Thanks, Mona Lisa. Yes, crab mentality. Cool, thank you. I believe I am out of time. Any last thoughts from anybody? I hope this was helpful.
This is Roz. Thank you so much,
Roz.
Susan, for presenting this mastermind. All the feedback from everyone in attendance was so wonderful that you called on all of us. And the missing piece is permission. You said it, that sometimes we get in our own way with the roadblocks that we put up for ourselves instead of moving out of our own way and allowing us to achieve our goals and have smart goals to accomplish whatever success we're looking for. So thank you so much again for this mastermind, and I'm sure others want to make some comments as well.
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
With that said, Esther, can I put you in the position of being the general evaluator since we don't have Roosevelt?
Yes.
Okay. Before you give your evaluation, the second quote I want to give you guys from George Fraser is, perhaps you're overrating what you have while underrating what you do. Think about that. With that said, Esther, would you evaluate the meeting at this point?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you for having me. I am a fan of masterminds, and today waking up and coming to this group has really made my day. Starting with, you started on time. I love the sharing. Is it Susan? Susan, the whole concept of permission. It's very important that we don't devalue ourselves. I totally believe in the acronym SMART, and I love the route that you took us in, current where we are. Of course, we have to come to more like a come to Jesus terms as to where am I right now? What am I doing with this business? And once you've identified that, you ask us where we want to be. And these are thought-provoking questions. Maybe many of us start businesses, but we never really take the time to assess. I'll give you an example for me right now. I'm in the middle of tax season. Every end of tax season, I debrief. It's part of me assessing where I've been and where I want to be. Mistakes happen, things did not go as I wanted to be. Did I really work with specific clients that I wanted to attract? I put clients into different buckets. I have my A, B, C, D. D, you know what that means. Means I have to delete them. I have to let them go so that I can have room for the A's. That's how you debrief. And then when is that? I put the SMART goal in there. That's a great assessment. Be specific with what you want. And the rephrasing that Randy talked about, how we talk to ourselves. Somebody said, I don't have money. And I said, how can I get money? There are many ways to get money out there. I've shared the concept of other people's money. You can do business using other people's money. And the other one is why not? What are our roadblocks? I shared another example. For me, it's the licensing, getting somebody else with the same licensing because of the industry. What are those roadblocks? And once you know what's keeping you away from that, who in your circles can you reach out to? Nobody makes it alone, everybody. We can all show our success and think we can make it now. You have to build those relationships that, again, Randy talked about. I no longer refer to it as networking. You need to be around town, finding out what can I do for you. And trust me, the success just comes flowing right back at you without even soliciting it once you put yourself out there. I missed the last part. I don't think you shared the last part, Susan. Number 5. I didn't see it on your, you had us do 5 rows. That's the piece that I missed. After the roadblocks, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth one, what was it? That's the part that I missed as to, what is missing? It's that permission, yes. And Charles said it very well. Are we overrating or are we underrating ourselves? What I can share with you, everybody, the best person you can work on is yourself. That self-improvement every single day. Make sure you start the day with you. And once your mindset is ready for that day, your day can flow. It does not mean that it will go well. It just only means that you are in that mindset and you are ready for what's to come. Otherwise, you are everywhere. And your calendar, make sure you are the one who dictates what's on that calendar. Everybody's emails will create emergency. Everybody's phone call will create emergency. Keep the phone off. Keep your email off. Have specific time blocks as to when do you check your email, when do you do phone calls, when do you really get on task to get the work that's bringing you the dough in your business. But other than that, it all starts with you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Esther. One of the things Esther talked about when she said the D, if you're not familiar with what she's talking about from the standpoint of prioritizing your day, prioritizing what you do, go online, look at Jack Canfield's video on Eat That Frog. Understand that concept of eating the frog from the standpoint of prioritizing and getting your most important tasks done first. But look at it, he goes through that whole A, B, C, D, E from the standpoint of prioritizing things. Randy, I think you've been tasked as being the keeping up with the time. Would you tell us how we've done?
See here, I closed out the agenda. I think that we came in at 7:39 on the calendar as far as cleaning up and being finished with the mastermind portion. So I think Susan did a wonderful job of that. And it's 7:50 now, and the timer is at 7:48. So you asked me that right on time. At this point, you're taking comments from the guests, and then we're going to roll it back over to the Toastmaster and to the presiding officer. So I think everything went well today.
Thank you, Randy. Diana, I think you were our guest today. Would you tell us what your thoughts are, what you learned, or how you felt?
Sure. Yeah. This is a really, really interesting Toastmasters club. I know you are one of the top performing clubs in the area of C4. So wonderful. And I noticed Roz mentioned that there are 2 other new members that'll be inducted next week. That's really amazing. And so I'm understanding that you do these masterminds whenever there's a 5th week in the month. And I really like this format. It's totally different. It gets everyone talking, doing like a mini table topics. And then obviously one person not really doing a speech, but a facilitation. So I love how you're experimenting with this format, and then also you're using it for your own personal goals and businesses. So wonderful job, everybody.
Thank you for those comments, Diana. Before I turn it back over to Roz, wonderful meeting. Susan, I really appreciated what you did from the standpoint of leading a mastermind. One of the things that this club was chartered to do was to help entrepreneurs improve their skills, grow, and learn. With that said, please take advantage of the talent that's within the club. Susan Ali, I want to make a comment to you when you said that you want to become an international speaker. I don't know if you're familiar with RV Robinson or not. If you're not, look her up. RV really started from the standpoint of building her business based on networking, but one of the things that she used and claimed as an international speaker was just simply being on a cruise. She was quote unquote out of the country, which made that speech quote unquote international. And she's been running with that for years. And Randy's laughing because he knows what I'm talking about with RV. Before I turn it back over to Roz, the last quote I want to use from George, and think about this from the standpoint of challenges that you hear with people when you're trying to grow your business. He says 3 things. 1, if they wanted to, they would. 2, no response is a response. And 3rd, not everyone has the same heart or goals as you. Measure what you do based on you, not other people. With that said, I'll turn the meeting back over to our president, Roz Carter.
Let's give Charles a round of applause for being our Toastmaster of the day. And again, thank you, Susan, for leading our mastermind. Everyone in this meeting, go out and spread the word that Entrepreneur Toastmasters Club serve its members, create excellent program quality in our meetings. And this 5th Wednesday, I believe there's another one in May, so members can consider leading another mastermind. There might be 2 more, I believe, like in August and November. So check your calendars, check our agendas that are posted, sign up to serve yourself and our members and guests. We welcome all guests who came today. We hope that you enjoyed it. And if there are any more comments, we'd like to hear them now. Raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Make it a great day. Entrepreneur Toastmasters Club is here to provide brainstorming, masterminding, accountability, and support to our members and guests. Please come back again. Our next meeting, regular schedule, is 1st and 3rd Wednesday. So we do have a meeting next week on Wednesday, April 5th. Enjoy the rest of March. And thank you, Diana, our area director, for attending today, Esther, our special guest, and Lizelle for coming back again as our guest. We will induct our 2 new members, Mariatu and Ernie, on April 5th. So have a great rest of your week, rest of your day. We'll see you soon. Thank you.